Okay, imagine holding a resource so valuable it powers a $1.4 trillion market.
Hmm.
Now imagine just throwing away 4 out of every 5 pieces of it. We all worry about our little blue and green bins at home, right? Sorting plastic and paper.
Right.
But that's just a droplet in the ocean.
It really is. It's the ultimate paradox of the whole modern supply chain. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at all the waste in the world, and only about maybe 15% of it is the stuff from our houses.
Only 15.
Yeah. The other 85% is industrial,
Hmm.
engineering material. And the second you start calling it by its proper name, the whole story changes. It's not trash, it's scrap.
Okay, so why the specific wording? Why scrap and not just waste?
Because scrap, by definition in this industry, its recycling value is actually higher than the cost to recover it.
It has inherent value.
Exactly. It's just resources, in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And this invisible, totally mismanaged market it's gigantic. We're talking $1.4 trillion in global trading. That was back in 2022.
Just to give you a sense of that scale. The scrap market inside China alone is estimated at 6 to 7 trillion RMB a year.
Which is what in dollars?
It's hundreds of billions of US dollars. It's more than half the value of China's entire auto industry. So this isn't some niche thing. It's a strategic giant that's been running on, I don't know, guesswork.
And its strategic value is huge, especially today. Scrap is everywhere. It's globally distributed. So no single country can control the supply of things like copper or aluminum. It's a level playing field.
And this is the problem a startup, Dr. Recycling, decided to tackle.
Right. Co-founded by a guy named Tan Tian. And his vision is, it's pretty audacious. He wants a 100% global scrap recycling rate.
Okay, let's unpack that. If this stuff is so valuable, a $1.4 trillion asset, why are we losing 80% of it? Why is it just ending up in landfills?
The problem is structural. It's the chain itself. Scrap is, it's the ultimate non-standard thing.
It's not like oil or wheat.
Exactly. A barrel of oil is a barrel of oil. But every single batch of scrap is different. Where it came from, how much there is, the purity, what junk is mixed in with it. And that non-standard nature, it just poisons any kind of efficient trading.
So you can't standardize the product, you can't standardize the price. Let's walk through the journey. Where does it start?
Okay, so there are 5 main links. First, there's manufacturing. That's the source. Think seal cutoffs for making a car door.
Right.
Second, small recycling businesses that, collect and sort it. Third, processing plants that turn it back into raw materials. Fourth, smelters that do the final purifying.
And fifth?
And fifth, material factories. They make new stuff from it, closing the loop. Back to the manufacturers.
5 steps. It sounds pretty clean on paper.
It sounds clean, but it's not.
Yeah.
That's where the whole system breaks. Each of those 5 links is what they call a consolidation business, meaning it's not just one middleman. It's a whole tangled web of countless small and large scalpers, intermediaries. Everyone is just trying to maximize their own little piece of the pie.
Not the efficiency of the whole chain.
Not at all. In fact, they have an incentive to, obscure the truth, to not tell the next guy in the chain what this stuff really is. This creates this massive information loss.
Information attenuation. I like that phrase. The knowledge about what the material is actually worth just decays as it moves down the line.
It's the perfect way to put it. The knowledge just evaporates.
Let's make this real. Beer bottle caps. Budweiser is stamping them out of a big steel plate.
Okay.
Only 41% of that steel actually becomes the cap. The other 59% is instant scrap.
And that 59%, that valuable steel, starts that 5-link journey into total information chaos. The factory probably doesn't know its highest value, so they just sell it cheap to the local guy.
And the chain of decay begins.
It does. And the final result of that broken chain is, it's just staggering. We said it at the top. Only 20% of all that global scrap actually gets recycled.
The rest, 80% of it, is just burned or buried. That's trillions of dollars of value. Gone.
And that exact failure is what Tan Tian, the founder of Dr. Recycling, he ran into it head on. He started his own scrap business in the U.S. way back in 2008.
And he was successful, right? He grew it.
He grew it to 17 factories. But he hit a wall. He just couldn't scale past that.
The bottleneck wasn't the scrap, it was knowledge. He found that the entire business, the pricing, the identification, it all depended on a handful of old-timers. Veterans who did it all by intuition.
Yeah, pure gut feeling. They'd see it, touch it, smell it maybe, and just know its value.
And that knowledge, you can't just copy and paste it into a new manager for factory number 18.
Exactly. That intuition was the Achilles heel. It couldn't be taught quickly, He couldn't scale because he couldn't find the experts.
But wait, in a market that big, a trillion-dollar market, why not just throw money at the problem, hire more experts?
Because of the speed. You have to move so fast, a pile of scrap comes in, you have to decide instantly, is this high-value stuff we can reuse or low-value stuff that needs expensive processing?
And if you're slow, your competitor gets the deal.
Or you overpay and you're stuck with it. Your margins are gone. So that intuition was essential for survival, but it made growth impossible. He was trapped.
So then came the aha moment, around 2015.
It was. It was the realization that the solution had to be digital, not human.
Uh,
His wife was doing big data and AI research at Microsoft Research, and that was the key.
so computer vision.
Computer vision. It was advancing so fast around 2016, the goal shifted. Don't try to hire intuition. Convert it into data. Train an AI.
So they weren't just trying to make a faster pricing tool. They were trying to standardize the unstandardizable, to create a sort of digital twin for every pile of scrap.
That's a great way to put it. And turning that human knowledge into code it was an incredible amount of work. They put a team together that went on a global expedition,
What, like traveling the world?
literally, to
Right.
dozens of countries, squatting next to production lines and factories,
Doing what?
collecting data on everything, raw scrap, processed scrap, even decomposed scrap. They had to know with absolute certainty, if you get material B from factory X, how much pure aluminum will you get out of it after all the processing?
That's the secret sauce, that granular data.
That's their technical moat. And it worked. By 2019, the AI model was 90% accurate, as good or, often better than the veterans it was built to replace.
So he sold his U.S. business and started Dr. Recycling in China.
Yep. Sold the assets in 2020, co-founded the company in 2021, and that tech is the foundation for everything they do now.
Which is built on 3 pillars, right?
Right. Pillar number 1 is the core of it all. AI-powered identification. You take a picture of some scrap, and the platform tells you everything. The composition, purity, how to process it, how much loss you can expect. It turns that messy, non-standard pile of junk into clean, tradable data.
And this model is so good that government agencies are using it.
It's incredible. Chinese customs at huge ports like Ningbo are using it. They fly drones over piles of imported material, and the AI scans it, identifies it, and calculates the right taxes instantly.
Wow, that's a serious vote of confidence.
It's a massive validation. And that standardization, that's what makes the second pillar possible, the global trading platform.
The e-commerce playbook.
Exactly. Once the AI defines the asset's value, the algorithms can find the perfect buyer for it, anywhere in the world, to get the absolute maximum value.
This is where you unlock that hidden potential. It's not just about selling it to the guy down the street anymore.
Right. Take something simple, like a batch of used plastic water bottles.
Okay.
That one material could have 3 totally different high-value destinations. If oil prices are high, maybe the best use is turning them into simple bottle flakes.
The obvious route.
The obvious route.
Yeah.
But if cotton prices are surging, maybe they're more valuable as particles for the textile industry. Or, and this is the interesting part, if Apple is about to launch a new iPhone,
They could become phone cases.
they could become modified plastics for phone case manufacturers who are desperate for material. Without that global platform, the original seller would never know about those other higher value options.
It also turns liabilities into assets. I love this IKEA story. A store in the U.S. needed to get rid of old solar panels.
And in California, that's not cheap. There are huge disposal fees. It was a cost on their books,
The liability.
a big one. But the platform found a buyer in the Middle East who wanted those exact panels for a secondary use. So IKEA didn't just avoid the fee. They actually made a small profit.
On something they had budgeted as a major expense. That is
No.
wild.
It shows you what the true cost of that inefficiency is. It's not just lost profit. It's paying to throw away value.
Which brings us to the third pillar, customized services.
Right, for the big guys. Companies like Tesla, Coca-Cola, Budweiser, they produce massive, continuous streams of very specific scrap, and they need a systematic solution.
So if you look at the 3 services together,
They map perfectly to the problems. The AI identification stops value loss at the source. The global platform stops that information decay during circulation, and the custom services stop big companies from just, taking the easy, wasteful way out.
and the results, the numbers really speak for themselves here. By 2025, the platform's trading volume hit $1.2 billion.
And yeah, the profit margins are small. It's like 1.75 to 3.5%, but the efficiency is it's off the charts. They did all that with a team of only 50 people.
50 people. That works out to a per-person GMV of $24 million.
24 million. It's stunning. It proves what happens when you replace an old manpower-heavy industry with data and AI.
And you see it in their clients' results.
Oh, absolutely. There was this big scrap group in Illinois. Before the platform, they were exporting less than 100 tons a month of non-ferrous metals.
And after.
The very first month, it jumped to over 1,000 tons. Now they're stable at 3,000 to 4,000 tons a month. That kind of growth just doesn't happen in an established business, not without perfect information.
And it's not just about money. There's a huge environmental impact, too. A brass factory in Taiwan.
Right. They started sourcing through the platform. Their use of recycled scrap went from just 5% of their input to 70%.
70.
70.
Yeah.
And because of that, their energy use dropped by 2/3. They went from running 3 transformers down to just 1.
So the green revolution isn't about forcing people to do things. It's about making the efficient, recycled option the cheapest and easiest one.
That's it. It's about economics.
This whole story really feels like a blueprint, an entrepreneurial playbook. You find a huge overlooked industry with a core pain point, in this case, information loss.
You validate the scale of that market, $1.4 trillion.
And then you deploy a very targeted tech solution AI plus a platform to solve that single problem at every single step.
It just forces you to completely rethink what waste even is. It's not a physical problem you solve with a bigger bin. It was never about the bins.
It's a data problem.
It's a data problem, solvable with algorithms.
So if the future of recycling isn't about better bins, but about better data, what other trillion-dollar invisible giants are out there in the global supply chain just waiting for an AI to come along and turn their old-school intuition into standardized, tradable code?